Hello, my name is Debbie Reynolds. They call me the Data Diva. Today I want to talk about ITAR. ITAR stands for the International Traffic in Arms Regulation. A lot of times when people are thinking about ITAR, or if you've never heard about ITAR, it has to do with weapon systems and any technology or data related to those systems that have strict federal U.S. regulation about how that data can be handled, who can see it, how it gets transported or not, and just general handling. Even though many people are not typically working with typical munition systems, there are a lot of technologies that we think of and use today that are related and may have some type of ITAR exposure. For example, when we think about things like potential use of things like drones or GPS or encryption or systems having to do with arms or arms trafficking or even satellites. So in situations where there is data or you're dealing with data that has any type of association with the government or any arms trafficking situation, this data has very strict controls around it. For example, if you are not a U.S. citizen, you cannot handle data dealing with ITAR. You cannot be in rooms with data dealing with ITAR. ITAR data cannot be or should not be commingled with other types of data. You have strict access controls about who sees it or who's working with it, whether it be a data on a server, whether it's a physical piece of machinery, whether it's technology dealing with it, or even technical notes and papers and presentations. So it's very strict in terms of what people have to do when they're handling or they're working with data having anything to do with any type of data that's on the U.S. munitions list. So the U.S. munitions list is very broad in terms of how they define things that are captured by it, especially to relate to new innovations and technology and how people are using it. Two ways that some people may end up having exposure to ITAR is if you're working in industries where you may be dealing with satellites or satellite companies that are working with government contracts, or certain types of encryption is controlled by ITAR that cannot be exported out of the U.S. ITAR fines are very steep. ITAR fines have civil and criminal penalties depending on what the situation is. The civil penalties can be up to $500,000 per incident or per violation, and the criminal penalties can be up to $1 million per violation and up to 10 years in prison. So it's pretty serious about ITAR. Again, sometimes people don't understand if you're working with data, especially if you're thinking about things with emerging technologies and may be dealing with government contracts, there may be some type of ITAR exposure. And if you're not a U.S. citizen, this may be a problem, and being able to handle ITAR data in a secure fashion in relation to what the U.S. deems appropriate for that type of data is very important. Thank you.